Welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast. Today we have now recurring guest Ryan Klingler. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, LeBron James breaking the NBA all-time scoring record, UFOs, and much more. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast. I am your host, Kurt Van Hecken, and you are tuning in to the number one rated podcast on the planet by the people that rated it number one. The Attack the Rack podcast, as always, is brought to you by Get to 2 Media. The sponsor of the program today has been a sponsor before in the past. It is the YouTube channel called Chillaxation Sounds. Phenomenal for when you need an extra little help falling asleep. There's sounds for rain, thunder, coffee brewing, windy snowstorm. If you need help falling asleep tonight, go to the YouTube channel Chillaxation Sounds for that extra boost you need. All right, Ryan Klingler, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. You now join the exclusive club of the recurring guests. How's that feel?
Hey, first time. You got to be the first one to do that, right?
No, Peter Hunsberger was the first.
Oh,
you're number two, though.
You're
number two.
Wow.
So it's a blessing.
That's better than number 3.
All right, Ryan. So, hey, one thing I needed to do before we dive into our conversation today, I have to address some haters. I've had some haters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there seems to be a reoccurring theme with some of these podcasts that I do, and we get into like multi-sport athletes. And I've said a couple times, I think it's important for kids to, play multi-sports to have fun. And I've been taking a lot of heat for that. I think people are taking what I said out of context. Like, I don't mean, everything should just be fun, right? I mean, experience as much as you can. Enjoy what you can, because I don't believe most should focus on one sport if their intention of doing so is strictly because they think that they're going to get a college scholarship or they're going to make the NBA. So when I say have fun, play multi-sports, I just mean enjoy everything that you can.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Kurt, I think obviously the more opportunities, whether it's a child, a young adult, the more opportunities they experience, then they're going to find out what they're passionate about. So if they think they're passionate about an athletic sport, the more they're out there, the more they're trying, they might find something that they like better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you don't like, if you only like one sport, and then of course you just play that one sport, but don't give up something else you enjoy to focus on one sport because you think you're going to get a college scholarship or you're going to play that sport and make some money from it. Another thing I need to address, Ryan, people have been very confused by the fact that they're always asking me, what's Get to 2? What's Get to 2? Get to 2 Media is the parent company that this Attack the Rack YouTube channel featuring the podcast is under. People are like, what does that mean? Obviously, you didn't come up with the term Get to 2, but when we were coaching together, that was a big focus of what we were we were coaching up in practice a lot. Kids like to jump off one foot when they're attacking the rack, and they end up turning the ball over or taking off balance shots. And, so Get to 2 is simply a jump step.
Yeah, and then when you get to a jump stop, you have multiple opportunities to decide what you want to accomplish. And obviously, it's a fundamental skill. I think even as we coached and we progressed, get to two was something that you should do a lot of the time because it gave you the opportunity to kind of make good decisions, right? So whether that's in basketball or hey, maybe sometimes you got to get to two in life and kind of see what opportunities and choices you can make and what type of outcome is going to be had by those choices. You get a chance to kind of evaluate them. Just like in basketball, if you get to two, you get to evaluate the opportunity to make the right decision.
Yeah, exactly. And, it just became a common theme and kind of an inside joke, after practice or, we would, we'd get a good chuckle out of how many times you would have to say, get to two, or, hey, why do you think you turned it over? Oh, sorry, coach, I didn't jump stop. So anyway, for all you that are confused as to where that came from, now you know.
Now you know. Hey, and I will add, I'm all about it. If you can jump to make a pass, totally fine. Just don't jump to find a pass.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, there's a difference.
So there's a difference.
Right.
There's a difference.
Understandable.
I know that's a growing term in the basketball community.
Yeah, and Ryan, we're sitting here in the Get to Two Media studio. The last time you were here, you were kind of the guinea pig for this. You're the first guest I had. Kind of, I guess, what they would call it in the industry the pilot episode. Didn't go so well. Looking back at it, the sound quality wasn't quite on par. And sure, it's the sound quality with the podcast here. It's been an uphill battle. It's been up and down, trying to get that set. But what we didn't have the first time you were here was even the studio.
True. We did it out in your living room.
We did. So, and speaking of sitting here in the Get to Two studio, the Get to Two Media studio here in the background, Ryan, we have one of your high school basketball games from the 1995-1996 season, your junior year. We're playing. You're playing against Jenison. What was the game plan going into this game?
The game plan. This has got to be one of the early in the season, I believe. It was about getting the ball down the floor as fast as possible and probably getting as many shots up as we could.
Yeah, and early on in the season, and then early on in Coach Mark Worley's varsity coaching career, because this was his first season here. Man, as I'm watching this, look at how many people are here in the Dutch Dome.
Yeah, good turnout on probably a Friday night, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Interesting side story. I know one of the guys that I'm playing against at Jenison here, his son is currently a JV player at Granville. So just kind of how the worlds collide a little bit. Looking back now, 20
years later.
25 plus years, yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, in Granville, where you teach and did coach 5 years of varsity basketball. Wow, this was a really good Jenison team. I don't know if you remember if you guys beat Jenison or not, but Jenison back in the late 90s, they were a powerhouse in basketball, football, and baseball. My 2 years on varsity, which would have been the 96, 97, 97, 98, I believe they won the OK Red both years. I think we finished second behind them, and I do think we beat them twice in each of those seasons, but they still won the league. We finished second.
Yeah, I know we won this game we're watching right here, Kurt, and we lost at their place, so we split on the season.
Okay.
But I think both contests were probably in the 80s. It was just kind of an up and down. Both teams had guys that could score it. So.
Yeah, and 80s was that was pretty impressive back then. But high school basketball scores were typically in the 60s, 70s back then.
Yeah.
Now it's almost like you get to 50, you got a good chance of winning.
It is, and I don't know what the change has been. I think probably just better athletes. Maybe defensively it's become a little bit more easier to defend people with better. I mean, if I'm watching this, I'm not seeing a lot of above the rim athletes, and I don't know if that's changed in high school as much, but it is what it is. Kids are still out there. Kids are still out there playing, and there are still packed gyms once in a while throughout the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I would say this year there's high school basketball here in West Michigan has actually been a little bit better than it has been. There's some good teams. There's some young teams. There's a lot of teams that are really good this year that have rosters full of juniors and sophomores and even some freshmen. So the next couple of years we're gonna see some good high school basketball here in West Michigan. I've even seen a couple of gyms that were packed like they used to be back in the day. So that's a good sign, and hopefully that continues because there's very few things that are better than a packed high school basketball gymnasium on a Tuesday and a Friday night.
Yeah, no, nothing like it. Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be a lot more fun for the guys or ladies to play when the gym is a little fuller, a little bit more noise, and a little more rowdiness all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Ryan and I here, we're sipping on some mimosas here. It's a Sunday morning. We're doing a little brunch interview. I apologize, Ryan. I accidentally bought pineapple juice instead of orange juice. What do you think, though? It's not too bad, I don't think.
It's not awful. It's definitely different, and hey, we'll roll with the punches here.
All right, and then if you need another one, just speak up. My producer Dale, he can also bartend for us, and he can grab you another one.
Dale, let's go.
All right, you need another one?
Call him up.
All right, Dale, let's go. And speaking of Sunday, obviously it's the weekend. You had a 3-day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, huh?
Yeah, a little late. Early February snow day is always a welcome addition to the education world, Kurt.
Yeah, well, Ryan, as you know, I've been pretty outspoken about the fact that I despise social media. But, being in this industry, it's a necessary evil. I have to have it, so I'm back on it. And one thing I remember from when I was on it before, and then I saw the same kind of stuff again Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday being that snow day. I see all these teachers just being ecstatic about having a snow day. Ryan, why do teachers hate their jobs so much?
Well, Kurt, I'm not sure that's an appropriate question. But I will say, like, a snow day doesn't mean a day off for teachers, I think it means a day that we can catch up on work. And it's a day that slows down a little bit. You can, maybe you're not as frantic in the morning, you're getting up and you now have the day to actually get a lot done. So I don't think it's about the fact that we're getting a day off. As much as that sounds great and awesome, I think a lot of times it's a day to kind of recoup and get caught up and get things ready for the next day, because you're always playing catch up as a teacher.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much enjoyment of the day off, because I'm guessing, like a lot of teachers, they are finding a way to get caught up, plan, and do things that are making the job easier the day we go back to school.
All right. Hey, so you obviously you're a teacher, you're a coach. Is teaching something that you kind of always wanted to get into, or thought you'd get into when you were growing up?
I would say it wasn't something that I thought I would end up doing. I thought, obviously my family has a lot of teachers. My dad was a teacher, professor at the college level for over 40 years. I have 2 sisters that are teachers. So teaching has definitely been in the family. I would say I was kind of geared to maybe not to follow in some of those footsteps, but again, I had some opportunities to take some business classes and to have some experiences where I realized that the teachers that I had made an impact for me, which then probably pushed me down that path a little more. To say that might be something I want to do and get involved in.
Sure. If you weren't a teacher, what do you think you'd be?
Man, that's a pretty crazy question, Kurt. I don't know. I think again, the opportunity to be a teacher and a coach happened pretty quickly for me. So maybe I didn't have as many experiences outside of that realm of education and coaching and athletics early on that I would have liked. I would have, as I look back now, I would have maybe taken some time to maybe figure out what other opportunities are out there, because I'm not really sure. Again, if you don't take those opportunities or have those experiences, who knows what you'd be doing? Because doors open at different times and those different opportunities come available. And I was pretty lucky to have a pretty good job in education and coaching right out of college, and some of those doors probably never opened up that you might expect.
Well, I would say, later in life, I've noticed one thing that you've taken liking to, worked at, becoming better at, and are becoming good at, and that is like construction work, like remodel projects and things like that. I wonder if that would have been a career path for you, remodeling bathrooms and bedrooms and things like that, because that's something that you really dove into these last couple of years.
I've delved into it. There's not a chance that I would be a very good professional at it, Kurt. I have limited handyman skills, but I do enjoy learning the process. And when it's your own house, if it's not done 100% correctly, you can live with it. If I was working for someone else, I'd probably be a lot more nervous and it would be a lot tougher work. So there is not a chance in the world that I would be a handyman, but I do enjoy the process of working with my hands and learning about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've helped me out with some handyman projects, little ones, and just because you have this ability to figure things out and make it happen.
Maybe I'm more of a problem solver than I am a handyman.
All right, so back to this whole 3-day weekend thing here. You even though you did have a 3-day weekend, you were pretty busy all weekend. You had the never forgotten game yesterday. I'm sure that was a ton of work.
Yeah, obviously working with a nonprofit, when you have an event like that, you want to make sure everything's ready and set. So, but it always makes it easier. You got good people supporting you. So we had a ton of people helping us out at the game last night, and so even when I got there and helped to do a little setup, we had people who set it up the day before, and we had people who were working it the day of, and obviously you're there, so it is time, and you're seeing a lot of people, and you're talking to a lot of people, and you're, obviously both communities that are involved there, Fenville and Saugatuck. We had a packed gym, so we had an amazing turnout, and obviously, people are willing to support you and raise funds, and so we think it turned out to be an awesome event, and the games were good, and kids are always thrilled to play in that, and the communities are both always great at coming out and supporting it. So definitely busy, but again, many hands make light work. So we've got a lot of great volunteers and supporters. So
yeah, and I saw some pictures from the game. Definitely looked like a packed house, great atmosphere, which typically that game is. And how did the two varsity contests go?
Oh, I believe Saugatuck won the girls' game, and Saugatuck won a close boys' contest.
Okay.
Fenville rallied late, and Saugatuck was able to hold on. So, I'm not sure. This was the 12th annual Never Forgotten game. I think Saugatuck now has won 3 in the boys' realm.
Okay.
So the Fenville boys have won 9.
Yep.
I'm not exactly sure on that, but that's what someone told me last night. So it goes back and forth, and it's usually a very competitive, close games on both sides.
And but most importantly, raised a lot of money, able to now donate. I think I saw 5 more AEDs.
Yeah, 5 more
funds
AEDs
raised.
to schools and a youth organization that didn't have one. So
Yep.
yeah, and like I said, both for 2 local small communities, always willing to come out and donate and support, and we're definitely very thankful.
And now you start prepping for the big golf outing in June.
Yeah. June 17th, I believe it is, Saturday before Father's Day at Diamond Springs. So we'll post something this week to put that on your calendar, and we'll start working on that for the next 2 or 3 months.
All right, and then I'll post a link to the West Leonard Hart Team website. Can you sign up for the golf outing yet, or just something to keep an eye on?
Keep an eye on it. I will say we will post that very soon, though. Usually by the end of February, we get the sign up or registration online going, so we can make sure, because we do usually fill up pretty quick. I know last year we turned away about 5 or 6 teams, so we usually have a very good turnout. We got some teams that have been there every year. We've done it, and so they usually get in pretty quick. And then every year you get a few more new teams. So then obviously you get some groups that are left out, and we can only accommodate so many. So usually, again, our biggest fundraiser definitely, and always look forward to kind of seeing the people that get support us. And it's always a fun morning, afternoon of golf, food, and camaraderie.
Well, I would say definitely it's like you said, you get plenty of teams. You got to turn teams away. I think that's a reflection of, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, obviously, people want to contribute to the West Leonard Hart Team in honor of Wes, donating money to provide AEDs to schools across the state of Michigan. But also, it is one heck of a golf outing. You guys do a phenomenal job with that outing. Lots of prizes, great raffle prizes, just a ton of fun, all kinds of side stuff to do.
I mean, you played in a few years in a row now, and always have a different little team, but you get out there, and we try to make it a fun event, not only to raise funds, because all the funds that we bring in usually get right back out in AED donations, but we want to make it, we've got great supporters, whether they donate to the event, whether it's a raffle item or funds, the golfers that come out, volunteers that help us every year. I mean, you can speak to playing in it. It's not, some people love to win it. Some people love just being there. Some people just love the fact that they get to support a great organization that is trying to prepare schools and youth organizations to be prepared to save a life. So, it's always a fun event.
No, it definitely is. I certainly am not someone who goes there to win it. Usually I have a couple pretty good guys I play with, but I am absolutely terrible. And any foursome with me on it will not win the tournament. But
you're always good for like a putt or a good chip or something like that, if I recall.
Yeah, here or there might contribute a little bit, but all right. Hey, Ryan, did you watch the Super Bowl? It was 1 week ago today.
I caught the last 3 quarters, Kurt.
Okay, so you missed the first quarter.
I did miss the first quarter.
Okay. Where'd you watch the game?
I watched the games with some friends, and so just at house. Had a little bit of food.
What kind of food did you have?
Oh, what did we have? That's a good call, Kurt. I think I had some chips and dip, along with I think we had lasagna that night.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I saw one of the. I saw like a list of people, favorite things at Super Bowl parties, and one of the top things was the dips.
Oh yeah. I had my sister called me for the recipe for the old Pistons dip.
The Pistons dip, yes.
I have not made in a long time, and she called me up and was like, "Hey, how do you make that stuff?" And I said, "Well, it's been a while. This is what I would try first." So, and I can't share too many of the
No, well, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to ask you
of the old Pistons dip.
I am not going to ask you to share the ingredients of the Pistons dip, but I do want to ask where did the name Pistons dip come from? How did that start?
I think we made it a ton during the time of the Bad Boy era. So the championship
goes that far back.
It goes that far back. I think sitting down and watching the old Bad Boys of was it 01?
The Bad Boys.
Well, my fault. Not 88.
Not
my fault. My fault.
Not
The second
okay.
round of the Bad. I would still consider them the Bad Boys. As I don't think they were well liked by the NBA at that point because it was still some physical defense by.
They played together as a unit.
Yeah, yes.
There was no they give the ball to LeBron and we're just gonna watch.
Well, I guess I consider that the second era of the Bad. So it was the second era of the Bad Boys.
Okay.
Not back to the 80, 88, 89, 90.
Okay.
Bad Boys.
Gotcha.
No. So second round of the Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Obviously. At that point, yeah, so not quite all the way back, but still a long time to go, Kurt.
So you're making it during their runs and
big games, playoff games,
sure.
Especially playoff games. I think is where the name arrived from.
All right, hey, did you happen to catch the halftime show with Rihanna?
I think I mean it was playing in the background.
Okay.
I didn't. Obviously, she did an amazing job. She has a ton of hits, so every song was pretty amazing. The rest of it is a little bit. I mean, it's pretty amazing the way they can do a show like that while a game is being played, and then still get it all out there,
set up, taken down.
Yeah, exactly. That stuff.
Well,
amazing.
you know what I like about it? It's just kind of like it wasn't over the top. It was just kind of normal. I think it was pretty obvious she lip synced a majority of it, but who cares? I mean, it wasn't like it was a Milli Vanilli situation where it was somebody else,
voice.
Somebody else's voice, still her voice. Yeah, I just liked it because it was just simple. It was normal. It wasn't anything over the top. She had all her clothes on. Pretty much appropriate for all audiences. What's if you could pick one artist to be next year's Super Bowl performer, who would it be?
Man, Kurt, I'm a lover of all music, as you will, because you don't like the fact that I think I like a little bit of country.
Right.
You're kind of on that other side of the spectrum there. But I am a connoisseur of all music. As long as it's good music, I like it. If I had to pick an artist that I would probably want to see, just for the fact that I like listening to their music, would be, man. I'd probably go a little bit country and go with like a Darius Rucker.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it. Here's the thing, Ryan. I obviously, you know the kind of music that I like. I tend to, well, not today's quote unquote hip hop, R&B, but that's more of the genre I lean towards, or some electronic music like house music. But I have this craving recently for like live music. Like I'd love to see a Super Bowl performer that actually has a band playing live music. And the last few performances haven't had an actual live instruments. I'd like to see somebody perform with live instruments. Darius Rucker obviously would fit that. What about a Guns N' Roses reunion at the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, Kurt. I mean, that's I will follow in line with you. I don't mind sitting down and watching or listening to live music, even if it's not I'm not a big concert goer, but I would, a smaller venue. So I would think that a Guns N' Roses reunion would be probably a pretty big hit for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
I don't know about that, man. Yeah, from the research I've done, it doesn't seem too possible. But I don't know. I wouldn't even. I mean, this is completely on the other end, opposite side of the spectrum here. But even like Sade with some live music, or like Hall and Oates.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Who knows? I mean,
Just something with some instruments.
Yeah. It's always going to be a pretty unique event. Yeah. I would say one thing I would have liked to see maybe one special guest come on.
Okay, like a surprise.
A little surprise, a little bit of a shock. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
But again, very classy. And it's always a good show, right? I mean,
right.
It always gets a little.
Yeah.
You can always go the other extreme and get a little too much, but
yeah. So the Kansas City Chiefs won the game. Patrick Mahomes now won his second Super Bowl, and now all of a sudden, here we go. Is Mahomes the GOAT? Will he be the GOAT? Mahomes Brady comparisons. What do you think?
Well, I think if you're going to start comparing the GOATs, you better throw Joe Montana in there.
Yeah, and how about Peyton Manning? Ever heard of him?
Yeah, I think if you, I think you could throw Peyton in there. But I think if you're talking the GOAT of the Super Bowls, the best quarterback of all time, you've got a pretty big conversation there with Montana, Mahomes.
Yeah.
Brady, my fault. Montana, Brady. I think Mahomes still probably needs one or two more to.
Yes.
What does he got total? I don't
Two.
know. Two. Okay, yeah. So he's got a little ways to go yet to get in the GOAT conversation.
Let's pump our brakes.
But I will say, being injured, I don't know how much that played into kind of the storyline of things, but obviously he is someone who makes plays and they're not always scripted, and that his ability to do that does put him in the conversation of he might be. If he can win one or two more, he could be in that conversation all day long.
And speaking of the GOAT debate, now LeBron James has broken Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time NBA scoring record. And now, of course, the conversation, which has been going on for years now, the GOAT, is it LeBron? Is it Michael Jordan? This is something you and I used to talk about quite a bit. And I think I was a little bit more on the LeBron train back then, but I had I don't know if you want to call it a reawakening or what you want to call it, but during The Last Dance, watching The Last Dance, I was reminded about how amazing of a player, Jordan is, and in my mind, it's not even close. In fact, I would even put Kobe Bryant ahead of LeBron James.
Yeah, I think Jordan said it best, and I think it was Jordan, and I don't know if it was in the docu-series. You can't compare different era basketball players.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that's because again we grew up. I mean, I know I grew up. If we're talking bad boys, the first set of bad boys, like you hated Jordan,
right?
And I grew obviously. After the bad boys kind of started to fade into the distance, you started to grow at least I started to have some respect for Jordan.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize how great maybe he was. And so I don't know if you can go back and compare. I think obviously, we're going to say because we grew up in the era of Jordan and watching him compete and excel. And kind of just really, if we were Pistons fans, he kind of knocked the wind out of you a lot of times, except for those 2 or 3 years there where the bad boys kind of owned the NBA. So I don't know. I think it's hard because I think we'll always kind of be on the Jordan side of things.
Yeah.
If you look at LeBron's numbers, you shake your head and you're like, wow, very impressive. I think they're two different players. I think Jordan was kind of a finisher, and I think LeBron early on in his career, especially, wasn't willing to. He enjoyed the passing of it more. It wasn't always going to take that last shot, and that probably garnered some of his criticism that he kind of that. But that's a difference between LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah.
One was always going to take that shot, and LeBron was always going to maybe try to make the right play, which wasn't always the best play for maybe his team. But
not at all. I mean, the right play is to have the ball in your hands and you go score the basket, and that's the thing that's even why I would put Kobe Bryant ahead of LeBron James.
Yeah. It would be tough. With the stats that LeBron has, it would be tough to put Kobe ahead of him in my book. And I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but the stats he's accumulated obviously over a long period of time. And I think he's played 6 years longer than Jordan, or 4 years, 3 years. I don't know what it is.
I think 6 years.
Yeah. So obviously he's going to have some better all-time stats.
Yeah.
But tough debate because again, you could look at some old timers and wonder what they could do in today's basketball, especially in the NBA, whether it was someone like Wilt or Bird.
Yeah.
I saw a conversation that JJ Redick wouldn't put Larry Bird in the top 5 shooters of all time.
And that's ridiculous. I mean, if Larry Bird played in this era, he would be, everyone would know, best three-point shooter of all time. If you look at the list of three-pointers made in the NBA, Larry Bird is number 282. But he has thousands less three-point attempts than these guys that are, Steph Curry, Ray Allen, these guys at the top of the list. It's a totally different game. Yeah. Steph Curry is shooting as many threes per quarter as Larry Bird shot in an entire game. So to try to say that, JJ Redick, you're a moron.
I won't go that far, but I will say again, it's just hard to compare eras because the game's so different, and I think we, guys our age, we remember the NBA being so different, and it has changed, and obviously,
it's unwatchable now.
Guys younger than us, they enjoy the type of game that's being played now. No big deal. It's just different. So I think to compare is tough. I think because we grew up in the era of Jordan, we're gonna ride or die with Jordan.
Yeah.
But I think it's tough to compare, and I appreciate the fact that Jordan. I think it was Jordan who said that. Tough to compare eras. And, he was, and take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything that LeBron can do that Jordan or Kobe could not do.
Yeah. No.
Well, he has more assists. Well, you know what? Those guys could have had those assist numbers as well. So, anyway.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will come right back with more of the Attack the Rack podcast. And we are back.
Let's talk some college hoops. Have you been watching college hoops? Now that the Super Bowl, now that the NFL season's over, is it time to dive into a little more college basketball for you?
It's probably about time to maybe watch a little more. I will say I haven't, I catch a game every now and then on a Saturday or Sunday. So yeah, what's on your docket there?
Well, I mean, Michigan got a big win last night over rival Michigan State. Both those. I mean, they're both not very good teams, but I would say now that the NFL season's over, I'll start to follow college basketball a little bit more as we get ready for March Madness. But one thing that I was looking at the rankings last night. No Kentucky, no Duke, no North Carolina, no Michigan State. In the top 25. What's going on here? This is out of control. These blue bloods are not even in the top 25.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing when you think about when you talk about those blue bloods. Yeah, I don't know. Is that again? I have not watched a ton of college basketball this year, but is the is the stuff like the transfer portal. Is that something that kind of evens the playing field a whole lot faster if some of those blue bloods lose guys that were highly ranked and they go to a different school? Does that help out those smaller schools a little faster?
Yeah, and here's another thought I have, and this could be totally wrong. I don't have any data to back this up, but I wonder, a lot of the blue bloods, obviously Kentucky's known for this, is you get those one and dones. You get all the 5-star recruits, and then they leave after a year. So these blue bloods, are they playing with more freshmen, more sophomores? Whereas some of these other schools that aren't getting the one and dones, they've got, are they playing with more juniors and seniors? Is that an effect? I don't know. That's a theory I have.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to look at schedules a little bit. Obviously, if those teams are struggling, which again, I don't have a great background on that this year. You wonder if some of those teams, they're playing, they're going out, they're playing so many games. They know that they're gonna. Most of those teams, I'm guessing, are still going to make the tournament, and maybe, it'll be interesting to see maybe in the tournament. Maybe those same teams we're talking about, maybe they rise.
Cream rise. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
It is a little bit surprising, too. I kind of figured with the whole NIL stuff that those big-time programs, they would now separate themselves even more from the pack, figuring they had more to offer for NIL stuff.
Yeah, and maybe they've gotten those guys again. Maybe they're young. So maybe the seasons have a little more up and down type of turns to them because they are young. They're getting the best players, but maybe they've got to, again, maybe as those youngsters get some experience, maybe they'll kind of rise to the top here in the tournament. It'll be interesting to watch.
One other thing that's going on in the sports world this weekend, and it's certainly lost a lot of its luster over the years, but did you even know that it's NBA All-Star Weekend?
I only know the fact because I saw the dunk contest results from last night, Kurt. So
okay.
I'm guessing the game is today.
It is today, and we'll get into that in a second here. But speaking of the dunk contest, so I haven't watched for years. It's just not. It's not the same. It's not entertaining. There's way too much other stuff that goes along with it. But I was like, I want to see who's in it. I obviously never heard of any of them. But I wanted to see who the 4 contestants were. And I don't know why. Last night I just decided to do this and watch. Just wanted to see the first 4 guys, see what they did. And there was this guy, the 4th participant, from the Philadelphia 76ers. Just signed a 10-day contract from the G League. I think he's only played 4 NBA games in his whole career. A guy by the name of Mac McClung. He looks like he's about 5'8", 5'10", something like that. And this dude, first dunk, jumps over 2 people. It's a guy and then a guy on this guy's shoulders. The guy on the top has the basketball in his hands. Mac McClung runs up, jumps over them, grabs the basketball. Again, this dude is like 5'8". Hits the backboard with the ball and then dunks it. Now, I haven't seen a dunk contest in years. But this reminded me back in the days of Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Vince Carter. It was one of the best dunks I have ever seen. I would put it up there with those guys. So I was hooked. I was like, I got to watch this. I'm like, this guy might save NBA All-Star Weekend. This guy might save the NBA. And sure enough, his next 3, the rest of the night, unreal dunks. He won it hands down. Unreal. Yeah. So you got to get on YouTube and you got to watch the highlights of that.
Well, I saw his winning dunk, Kurt,
okay,
and I believe he's 6'2".
Oh, 6'2". Okay, 6'2".
Yeah, you know.
Well, he looks like he's 5'8".
Well, he looks, looks can be deceiving. You know, he's always been kind of a dunker, leaper. I think he was at Georgetown, played at Georgetown, and then transferred somebody else, maybe like somewhere in Texas, I believe.
Oh.
But
I only knew. I mean, I did a little research on him last night while I was watching. I only saw Georgetown, but yeah, I saw he was a phenomenal high school player.
Yes, yeah.
Always broke Allen Iverson's Virginia scoring record, I believe. But has always been known for his dunking ability.
Yes,
so
yeah,
I don't know. It was good to see. It was refreshing.
No, yeah. And I would say, and the hard part is again, then you got to find guys like that every year who. Again, this is a kid who probably a G League type kid. And,
yeah.
And they brought him in, but it sounded like even the NBA guys appreciated it.
They did.
That he was there and brought a little level of kind of wowness, eye-open.
Yeah.
Dunks to the weekend.
And you know what, Ryan? He has one more dunk contest championship than LeBron James.
You might be a LeBron hater.
Wow, yeah, I am. I think everyone knows that. Anyway, back to the whole All-Star game, which is today. If this isn't a reflection on our society today, normally they announce the starters, right? And then now they have two captains and they pick teams. I don't get why they do that. I don't see what was wrong with just East versus West. Top 12 vote getters on each side. They're in. Let's go. Let's play. Not like that anymore. They decided this year that they were going to announce the starters last, do the reserves first, so that there wasn't somebody that was last picked.
Oh, I have not heard that, Kurt. But, I think it's just, nobody wants to be picked last, Kurt. I mean, that's it.
I mean, you can't make this.
No, I mean, who knows? The NBA, I mean, are you going to tune in and watch the NBA game yet? Yeah.
No.
I mean, I can't imagine. Obviously, the dunk contest last night was probably during the Michigan State game.
Yeah, it got started kind of towards the end of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for obvious reasons, I think the idea is, I think it's just got to be, I think the idea of the old East-West was kind of fun because it was competitive.
Yeah.
I think now it's obviously just it's a weekend where if you're out there, you get to see the best 15, 20 players, whatever it is, 25 players they got. The game is definitely, obviously, not as competitive until about the last 5 minutes, from what I recall the last couple of years. So
yeah, because they switch over to doing the what do you call it? Elon scoring, or what is it called?
Yeah, I don't know. Did they switch over to that?
They did. I don't know. The first year they did it was a few years ago, and I did watch the end of that game, and that was actually some of the best. That last, from the point where that rule kicked into the end of the game, was some of the best basketball I've ever seen, to be honest with you. Leading up to it was probably the worst basketball ever, and then from that point to the end of the game was phenomenal basketball.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they are using them, those sounds like, huh?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, Ryan, let's play a game. All right, this game is it's called Was It Me or Was It You? Okay. We're gonna keep your score here. Each question is worth a certain amount of points. If you get it right, you get those points. And I would encourage everyone listening to play along at home and post your score in the comments. All right, so this game is called Was It Me or Was It You? This game is brought to you by Realtor Ryan. Realtor Ryan is a local real estate agent here in West Michigan. If you have any real estate needs, whether you're buying, selling, or just want to gain some knowledge, hit them up. Realtor Ryan has helped me in my journey about educating myself in the world of real estate, and he can do the same for you. Ryan, are you ready to play? Was it me or was it you?
Let's give it a run.
All right. First question worth 2 points. Was it me or was it you that got a kiss on the forehead from Michael Irvin?
Yeah, well, that's an easy question for me, Kurt.
But it's not so easy maybe for the people at home.
It's probably not, and the story behind it is probably even more unique. But I'm going to go with it had to be me.
Yes, it was 2 points. 2 for 2.
Winner, chicken dinner.
What is the story behind it?
You know, I had the privilege of attending the ESPYs this summer, I believe, after Wes passed, with our Fenville team. Thanks to ESPN and stuff like that. So at one point, I think after the show, before the show, I think it was after the show, Michael Irvin caught me and we just had an emotional moment together, and he kissed me on the forehead. And I still, to this day, I'm hoping someday I'll get to see him again, and we'll maybe avoid the kiss on the forehead and maybe have a chance to talk about that situation.
Yeah.
But definitely a story that I can remember, and will be a good talking point for years to come.
Yeah, and actually the next question I have has to do with the ESPYs again, and for the people that are listening at home and are playing the game, to be fair, should know I was there as well. So the answer to this question is not obviously Ryan, because I was tagging along on that trip as well. The question is, and again for 2 points, was it me or was it you that was scolded by Teddy Bruschi, former New England Patriots Super Bowl champion, for taking an extra beverage on the bus to the after party? Was it me or was it you?
Well, Kurt, I remember Teddy Bruschi being the leader of the bus that we took from the show to the after party. I'm going to go that you probably are the one that got scolded then.
Incorrect.
Oh, shoot.
Zero points. I was already in my seat. I had my one beverage, and you were a few people behind me. You got on the bus. The cooler's at the front of the bus. Teddy Bruschi's at the front of the bus. And you grabbed 2 drinks. And I think you were grabbing one for somebody else. And Teddy Bruschi, I don't know if he actually grabbed your hand, but he's like, whoa, slow down. Only 1 drink per person. And then you yell, oh, and he was like, oh, man, I'm just joking. So he was just messing with you. But
interesting story, because I do not remember that, and
okay.
My memory is always kind of hit and miss, which is probably a tricky game for me here.
Yeah.
But I do remember the bus ride with Teddy Bruschi being the leader, and that's a good memory that you just reminded me of.
And I know you don't remember this either. And it's frustrating because I always wanted to look up how her career went. But I remember you were sitting behind me, and you were sitting next to a woman's LPGA Tour professional golfer.
Yeah.
I always wanted. I wish I remembered her name, because I always wanted to look her up and see how her career went.
Yes,
but you don't remember her name, do you?
No, I don't remember her name, but she was super nice.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a good conversation on the bus ride over to the after event, and I always kind of wish the same thing, that I could recall her name, just to see how she ended up and how the career turned out.
Speaking of the after party, do you remember the DJ at their after party?
I don't.
Biz Marquis, rest in peace.
Oh, really?
Biz Marquis was the DJ at the after party.
Yeah, well, there was a new hot artist that we were playing, I believe.
Lupe Fiasco performed.
Yeah, Lupe Fiasco, yes. Yeah.
All right, let's move on here, Ryan. You're obviously known more so as a head varsity basketball coach, longtime varsity basketball coach at Fenville, 5 years varsity coach at Granville High School. But you've also coached some sub-varsity level basketball as well, as have I. When we talk sub-varsity level, we're talking 7th grade, we're talking 8th grade, we're talking freshman, we're talking JV. Was it me or was it you? And again, this is for 2 points. That coached a 20-0 sub-varsity level basketball team. A team that went 20-0.
Well, Kurt, that is definitely now they had to be 20-0 or 0-20?
20-0,
Okay.
undefeated.
Okay, then I'm going to go with you.
Correct. You got one. You are 2 for 3. You've got 4 out of 6 points so far. Good job. Yes.
Not too bad.
Yes. Was it me or was it you that coached a sub-level 0-20 team for 2 points?
Well, I think we should let the audience decide that one, Kurt.
Well, no, they're playing along at home. They are playing along at home.
Well, do we really want to give that answer out? I'm not sure that sounds like a very good. I will probably. I think I have coached a 0-20 sub-varsity team, and probably one of my favorite teams that I've coached. Still keep in contact and love watching a couple of the guys and their success in life after basketball in high school. And just ran into one of the parents a few nights ago, and their kid was doing awesome and on their way to bigger and brighter things. So, sometimes in the game of sport, the wins don't add up in your favor. Sometimes they do, and you try to make the best out of those situations. And again, there's some kids from that group that I still run into that are, I'm always excited to hear how they're doing and what they're doing. So.
Yeah, no, I remember when you were going through that season and you said the same thing at the time. Like, obviously you wanted to win, but you always were commenting like, hey, you know what? They're great kids. They're coachable. They work hard.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah. No. So, and sometimes you can be on the other end of the spectrum and have a really successful group that maybe isn't as fun. So I appreciate that group of guys because they were coachable. They were fun to be around. They kept a real positive attitude. So sometimes the kids, usually it is the kids that make the experience. So,
all right, next question. Was it me or was it you that has won a district championship as a player and as a coach? Worth 2 points.
Well, Kurt, I believe from your stories, and again, I don't have the greatest memory, as you know, but I believe if you're talking player-wise, I don't believe you won a district as a player.
True statement.
So then I'm going to have to say that I guess I probably am the one. That's probably me.
Yes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You won the district your junior year and senior year.
2 district titles.
Yeah.
And then won a few districts at Fenville. Weren't able to put it together at Granville, but as the head. But So,
was it me or was it you, Ryan, that after a frustrating away loss chose to walk home rather than ride the bus home?
Well, there are some things you don't forget, Kurt.
Well, also worth 2 points for those of you playing at home.
There are some things that you don't forget, and I'm going to have to go with that as being me.
Correct. Phenomenal story.
Sometimes we did have some assistance on the bus, so I want to make sure the bus was still being guided home by adults. But yeah, sometimes you just want to send a message of how important the game is to yourself, and maybe a step over the correct boundaries. I probably wouldn't do that today, but I do think my players appreciated the level of passion that I kind of demonstrated.
And again, like your 0-20 sub-level team that you coach, I mean, a lot of good kids on that team and kids that you still keeping contact with.
Yeah, I think you can do those type of things, and in the kids and the families can understand but you first gotta have the relationship with the kids, and the families. Again, I probably wouldn't do that type of thing again, but it was earlier in my coaching career. Again, awesome kids that understood where I was coming from, and still, if I see any of those ladies out, because it was a girls' team,
Yep.
We're quick to give each other hugs, and I just saw one last night at the Never Forgotten game who was doing an amazing job raising 4 kids, and doing a lot of great things. So, even when you do something that's a little crazy or out of the box, sometimes it works out. And again, it happens because you have those built-in relationships before.
Right. Absolutely. All right. 2 more questions. Worth 2 points. Was it me or was it you that's been to a Janet Jackson concert?
Well, I don't know if you've been to a Janet Jackson concert, but I know I have.
Correct. Correct. And I am jealous about that. That's why I've added that question to the game here.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous of that. I would love to go to a Janet Jackson concert.
Well, who wouldn't?
Right.
That's the question. There can't be too many people out there that wouldn't.
No, what a catalog. What a catalog she has. Phenomenal dancer. I'm sure just a great show.
Great show. I wish I could tell you who was there, because right now I can't recall off the top of my head.
Like opening acts?
Yeah.
I thought you told me at once it was Heavy D.
Might have been Heavy D. That
Okay.
actually sounds very familiar.
Okay.
Because that was probably my sophomore, junior year of high school.
Okay.
When I had the opportunity to attend that concert.
All right, and then last question, also worth 2 points. Is it me or is it you that has not had a sip of Mountain Dew since December 31, 2017?
Kurt, easy question to answer. And I'm only going to say it's easy because my secret Santa this year at school got me a 6-pack of Mountain Dew.
And you drank it?
Well, I just finished it off.
Okay, nice.
So it did take me a couple months because I try to avoid Mountain Dew as much as possible.
Yeah.
But it is it definitely. So it was me.
All right.
Or no, my fault. It's you that has avoided that.
Yes. Haven't avoided a lot of other things.
Yes. No.
But
no, that is definitely you, because I just finished off a 6-pack that I got for an awesome Christmas gift from my Secret Santa at school.
All right, Ryan. Well, the totals are in. You did very, very well. You got 14 out of 16 points. So we'll have to pay attention to the comments and see if anyone was able to top that with a perfect 16 out of 16.
Hopefully they can be honest out there. Those were some tough questions if you're following along at home.
Yeah. The Attack the Rack fan base is full of honesty. Honest people. The attackies are honest.
The attackies, huh?
Yes.
What about the haters of the attackies?
Well, yeah, that's true too. All right. So thanks for playing. Was it me or was it you?
Brought to you by
Real to Ryan.
Thank you.
Yes. Ryan, what's your favorite Asian dish?
Oh, man. Right now where I'm at, I'm a big just broccoli and chicken guy.
Chicken
and rice. Just
okay.
like a more of a grilled chicken with a broccoli base kind of, Kurt.
All right.
But where I'm at right now, I got to tell you, I probably haven't had Chinese in about 4 or 5 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we went out to Chinese a couple times, but yeah.
Was that earlier than that?
That was a few weeks ago.
Oh, see, Kurt, my memory's off.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what you got, but
actually, now you say that, I probably only eat Chinese with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had any Mountain Dew, but I've had plenty of Chinese food. One thing I've been on a kick lately, shrimp fried rice. Woo!
Ooh.
Yeah, from Mitsusushi downtown, Holland, Michigan.
Oh,
Is
that more of the sushi place?
Yes, it is. Yes,
okay.
But
I've always been a big fan of the Egg Roll Express pork fried rice.
Yeah. Yeah.
which I have not had in a long time, as far as I remember.
Yeah. No, I remember dabbling in some Egg Roll Express with you, definitely multiple times. Ryan, have you ever seen a UFO?
Kurt, I was, again, sometimes you get busy here being, with your job and lots of going on. So I will say, and I'll explain the story here, that I called Kurt a couple nights ago on my way home from work, and I pulled over because I saw these string of lights in the sky. And I was just miffed. I was like, what in the world could this be? Well, not being someone who is on, even though I have social media accounts, I don't always get a chance to check them or follow them until I get home from a day of work and in coaching and things like that. But I saw these string of lights and I was like, what in the world could these things be? And then as soon as I pulled over and looked at them, they were gone. And it really, freaked me out a little bit. So I gave Kurt a call because I don't forget why I called you.
I think you wanted to see, because you were driving, and you're someone who doesn't get on your phone while you're driving. Thank God. But yeah, you were asking me if I had seen anything or heard anything on social media about these string of lights.
Yes, and you had seen something from the night before.
Yeah.
Which then, kind of, it's interesting. Well, then I actually called my kids, and my kids actually filled me in very quickly that was the SpaceX satellites that had been flying around in the sky those last couple of nights. So appreciative of my kids for filling me in on what was going on in the world. Because I was a little bit like, whoa, this is nuts. And with all the stuff going on with us shooting down
who knows
stuff in the sky, who knows what's what,
exactly.
What's being shared or what's honest, who knows.
Yeah.
But yes, no. So no, I mean, I there's probably something out there, Kurt, who knows. What I saw the other night, though, from what I'm gathering, was the SpaceX satellites, which is pretty cool looking if you get a chance to see them out in the sky.
Yeah.
Just be aware that they're there now.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of, and it wasn't a string of lights, but I was probably 10, 12 years old, and I was walking home from a neighbor's house where we had probably been playing Tecmo Bowl or something. And it was at night, and I'm walking home, and I'm walking across the street, and I look up at the sky, and I see this, like, oval, white light oval, and it's just, like, moving around, no pattern, and I'm, like, freaking out. I'm 10 or 12, and I'm like, this is a UFO. And I sprint home, and, I run in the house, and I'm yelling to my parents, come outside, you got to see this UFO, it's flying around. And what it ended up being, though, we lived, at the time, there was a car dealership, a few hundred yards to the south of our home. And they were having some, special, and they had those big old spotlights. And that's what it was. It was a spotlight, and it was a cloudy night. So I saw the end of the spotlight flying around on the, against the clouds. And to me, it looked like a UFO. It was crazy, scary though.
Well, Kurt, who knows what's out there, right?
Right.
It's a big old universe out there.
It is.
Again, I'm not going to say that they're flying around in our airspace currently, but who knows, right?
Well, speaking of that, there's on Netflix, I think it was like an Unsolved Mysteries reboot series on Netflix, and they actually have an episode from about a story of all these UFO sightings right here in West Michigan back from 1994. So I know I mentioned that to you. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
You are, yeah. Something in the Sky, I think it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
okay, Something in the Sky. So highly recommend everyone watch that.
Yeah, 1994, you're right.
Yeah, so. All right, Ryan. You currently are the Hope College men's basketball JV coach. / varsity assistant coach. Your JV season now has come to a close. The varsity regular season also has come to a close, and now it's on to the MIAA tournament. When do you guys play? Who are you guys playing?
I believe they just came out this morning. I think we're playing Wednesday evening at Holland. Adrian.
Yep. Okay. So home game. That'll be nice.
Home game.
And how'd you guys do against Adrian in the regular season?
We beat them both times.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But the saying, hey, it's always tough to beat a team 3 times.
Yep.
Obviously the MIAA, all those teams, I think most games have been close. Because teams know each other so well.
Right.
Especially you play them a second time. So obviously playing a third time, you never know what can happen. So
yeah.
But you to get into the conference tournament, you give yourself a shot to win it. So
not everyone makes the conference tournament?
Not everyone makes it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just the top 6 teams.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. And then as I'm looking here at the bracket now, I see the winner of your game plays Trine.
Correct.
How'd you guys do against Trine?
0-2 against Trine.
Okay.
Lost in OT once. And,
okay.
Lost a close one at home, I think, against them.
Okay. And then the number 1 seed, Calvin, they're on the opposite bracket. Obviously favored to make it to the MIAA championship game. If you guys were to beat Adrian and then beat Trine, we'll have round 3 of Hope Calvin.
Yeah. Who doesn't love that?
Yep, and you guys just beat them on their own court.
We did. They beat us at our place. We beat them at their place. So, we're lucky enough to get to round 3. Everybody wins.
Yep. All right, Ryan. Well, hey, I really, really appreciate you coming back. Great conversation. Thanks for playing the Ring Realtor Ryan. Was it me or was it you game? Before we get you out of here, I know I asked you this on the last time you were on here. It's kind of how I end the program each time. When I have someone on the show where our connection is basketball, I want to know who your 5 favorite basketball players of all time are. Not your 5 best, just your 5 favorite. I know you answered it last time. Your answer could be different this time. And again, these players could have never played in the NBA.
Oh, I'll be honest, Gary, I don't remember how I answered that last time.
Good. I want to hear.
And I'm a little, I'm still a little miffed that I'm the second person to come on the Attack the Rack podcast. I thought I would have been the first one to do the second episode.
Well,
we know each other.
Well, my football analyst Peter Hunsberger, he's been on a handful of times.
Okay, all right. I'll let that go at this point. So my 5 favorites.
Yes, favorite, not best. 5 favorite.
5 favorites. Man. I'm always going to lead with Dennis Rodman. I don't know if I led with him last time or not. But
I don't know if you led with him, but you did let us.
And
you did let us know that he was your number 1.
Yeah. Obviously,
but no order.
Bad boy era. Always appreciated him as a player, especially with the Pistons. I put Michael Jordan up there. I mean, the things he did were pretty amazing. I'm probably a pretty classic type of guy because I'm probably, even right now, I'd probably throw Magic Johnson in there. The way he was able to share the basketball has always been something I tried to emulate. So I've got some appreciation for that. You can't go wrong with Larry Bird, I think. Again, probably had he stayed healthy, some of his career numbers I think would have probably been even more outstanding. That's 4. Fifth one. It's going to take me some time to think of this one, Kurt. I want to think NBA, college.
Or local street ball legends.
Local street ball legend. I will give, I'm going to, and this, I will give some. I'm going to give some credit here, Kurt.
Okay.
As someone that, because I had I played down at a local park quite a bit, and there were guys as a youngster. I was a teenager at this time. Most of these guys were young men, but someone who probably had an impact on how I played a little bit was probably John Crampton.
Oh, local legend.
Local legend here.
Yes.
Obviously, we're probably considered friends now. It took me a while, but he played a unique way, and I probably stole some of that as I grew, because I had to play a unique way because of my size and athletic ability. Probably didn't always match up to what coaches maybe looked for. So I think stealing some of his basketball IQ, or just how he played, I was able to kind of maybe add that into my game. And so I'll give a little local legend shout out, John Crampton.
John Crampton.
Sure, he'll appreciate that.
Yeah, John Crampton currently in the Philippines. When he gets back, we've already got him lined up to be a guest on the program here.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, Ryan. Last question, specific more towards you. You have played a ton of basketball in your life. You have coached a ton of basketball in your life. I want to know, and 5 might be too much, but see if you can at least give us 3 of your favorite gym/arena/parks that you've either played in or coached in.
Man. Whew. Man, Kurt, those are, again, another good question. Again, you're talking to someone with a shoddy memory. You could probably name a couple of the gyms that we played in.
I would think 2 are pretty obvious.
Yeah, I guess if you just say, obviously the Dutch Dome, playing at Holland High School, and then at that time, just how kind of important basketball was in communities, made it, the community made the Dutch Dome what it was. It obviously is unique architect features of the dome itself, but yeah, you probably obviously throw the Holland Dome in there. The Civic Center, Hope College, downtown Holland. There's nothing like the Hope College DeVos Fieldhouse these days that the Hope players get a chance to play in. They can get in there 24/7, so you can get into a gym whenever you want. But there was nothing like the Civic Center with the Dew crew pretty much on the floor with you playing the game. You talk about a 6-man. That was pretty amazing. And then you just throw in the crowd itself was on the floor almost. So pretty impressive. So there's
3 right there.
Yeah, there's 3 right there. I would as I try to think back, maybe not even just so much the gyms, but experiences. I believe we had a chance to play at the Georgia Tech Dome.
Really?
Was that with my AAU squad? Or
nice.
I thought it was the Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. I believe we played on their main floor once, and that was pretty unique.
Yeah.
As there were some D1 college coaches in the crowd, and I don't remember who was there exactly. Whether it was Arizona's coach at the time was, white hair.
Yeah. Legend.
Yeah,
Lute Olson.
Lute Olson. Lute Olson. Yeah, Lute Olson. But I think I can picture Lute Olson and why I thought Georgia Tech was, I think the other guy for Georgia Tech was there, Kremens.
Yeah.
Kremens.
Yeah.
And I believe I believe Krzyzewski was there, and all these guys were kind of in the crowd as well. So, you might throw that up there just as the experience to play at Wake Forest's in their gym, and obviously, growing up in Holland, I spent a lot of time playing outdoors at 22nd Street. Kind of just playing against bigger, stronger, better skilled players than I was, which helped me develop as a player. So yeah, that was always fun. It was always fun on an evening, usually about 5 o'clock. I think games picked up at 22nd Street, or
Nice.
you go Sunday afternoon about 1, and you might play for 3, 4, 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So those, that was always it was a short court, so you weren't, there weren't a lot of breakaways. It was all, you had to really have some skill to score really there, because you weren't going to get the 94. It was probably like a 65-foot, 60, 70-foot court maybe. So interesting place that you can hone your skills. So there's 5 for you.
Yeah, nice job. Hey, one thing I totally forgot about until the other day, from when you were the varsity head coach at Funville, and I was the JV coach. We played a game at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Remember that, against Manistee?
We did. We sure.
I totally forgot about that until the other day.
Yeah. So again, another experience.
Yeah.
You could probably throw that on there, because obviously very cool. Play a game there, and
that was so fun.
It was fun. Well, we didn't end up on the winning edge of that one, I believe. No. But again, still cool experience, not only to coach there, but to play there, and you could probably throw that in at number 6.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, thank you again so much for being here. This was a ton of fun, and already looking forward to the next time that you can hop back on the program.
Well, I'm hoping I can beat out your NFL analyst Peter Hunsberger for the 3-timer.
Yeah, he's a 3-peat right now.
He's a 3-peat, so I got to catch up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So I'm gonna hopefully be the first 4-timer.
You know what would be a ton of fun is to get you and John Crampton on together and talk about all your stories from 22nd Street.
I'm not sure any of those would be appropriate. Well, I might avoid that.
All right, Ryan. Well, hey, thank you again for being here. Enjoy the little time left in your weekend.
Oh, yeah, we will. Thanks for having me, Kurt.
Please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share.